It was August 12, 1985, the height of summer travel season in Japan. Families were returning home after holidays, eager to celebrate Obon, the traditional festival of remembering ancestors. Among them were the 524 passengers and crew aboard Japan Airlines Flight 123, a Boeing 747SR. The 747SR was designed for high-capacity domestic routes, perfect for ferrying large numbers of passengers. On board were families, business travelers and holidaymakers, all anticipating a routine flight. Captain Masumi Takahama, a veteran pilot with over 12,000 flight hours, was in command. The flight took off as scheduled at 6:12 p.m. local time, climbing into the late summer sky above Tokyo Bay. Little did anyone on board suspect that this routine flight would soon turn into one of aviation's most harrowing tragedies. The Boeing 747SR, short for short range, was a variant of the 747 specifically designed for short-haul, high-capacity routes. Japan Airlines, facing booming domestic air travel demand, operated a fleet of these aircraft to transport large numbers of passengers between major cities. The 747SR's shorter range allowed for more frequent flights and quicker turnarounds, making it a popular choice for airlines with dense domestic networks. The summer months were particularly busy for Japanese airlines, as families traveled for holidays and to visit relatives during Obon. Flight 123, packed with passengers eager to reach their destinations, was a microcosm of Japanese society at the time. A mix of families, businessmen and students, all caught up in the excitement of summer travel. This shared experience, however, would soon be shattered by the unforgiving realities of mechanical failure and human fallibility. The bulkhead, a dome-shaped partition separating the pressurized passenger cabin from the unpressurized tail section, had suffered a catastrophic rupture. This seemingly insignificant event, a failure in a single component, would have devastating consequences. The pressure differential between the cabin and the exterior caused a rapid decompression, the air inside the plane violently escaping through the ruptured bulkhead. This explosive decompression ripped away a large portion of the tail fin, severing all four hydraulic systems and leaving the aircraft critically damaged and extremely difficult to control. The sudden decompression and loss of the tail fin had a catastrophic impact on the 747's flight characteristics. The aircraft, now uncontrollable in pitch, yaw and roll, entered a steep climb followed by a rapid descent. The pilots, struggling to comprehend the unfolding emergency, fought desperately to regain control of the crippled jet. The control column, normally responsive to pilot inputs, became heavy and unresponsive, the aircraft bucking wildly as the pilots wrestled with the forces acting upon it. Inside the cabin, oxygen masks deployed, dropping from the ceiling as the plane violently shook. Passengers, many of whom had never experienced such a terrifying situation, clung to their seats, fear and confusion gripping the cabin. The once routine flight had transformed into a desperate battle for survival, the pilots fighting to regain control while the passengers and crew faced their own mortality. The loss of hydraulic pressure meant the pilots had no conventional means of controlling the aircraft. The control surfaces responsible for steering the plane were rendered useless. The rudder, ailerons and elevators, crucial for maneuvering, were no longer responding to pilot inputs. The 747, once a symbol of modern aviation technology, was now a wounded giant, tossed about by aerodynamic forces beyond the crew's control. Despite the dire situation, the pilots of Flight 123 refused to give up. They attempted to regain control using differential engine thrust. It was an unorthodox technique requiring immense skill and coordination. Captain Takahama issued commands trying to stabilize the aircraft. Despite their efforts, the 747 continued its erratic flight path. The tragedy of Flight 123 served as a stark reminder of life's fragility. As the crippled 747 struggled to stay aloft, the pilots desperately tried to contact air traffic control. Their mayday calls, broadcast on emergency frequencies, were picked up by controllers at Tokyo Area Control Center. The controllers, realizing the gravity of the situation, cleared airspace for the stricken aircraft, guiding it towards the nearest suitable airport. However, the 747's erratic flight path and the challenging mountainous terrain made a safe landing highly improbable. The pilots, battling fatigue and the limitations of their crippled aircraft, fought valiantly to maintain altitude and head towards a safe landing site. The cockpit voice recorder captured their calm professionalism as they communicated with air traffic control, providing updates on their dwindling fuel reserves and the deteriorating condition of the aircraft. Their voices, though strained with exhaustion, reflected their unwavering determination to save the lives entrusted to them. For over 30 agonizing minutes, the pilots wrestled with the uncontrollable 747, their efforts a testament to their skill and courage. However, the damage to the aircraft was too severe, the loss of control too great to overcome. At approximately 6:56 p.m., after a harrowing descent, the 747 slammed into the forested slopes of Mount Osutaka in Gunma Prefecture, 100 kilometers northwest of Tokyo. The impact, witnessed by horrified villagers below, marked a tragic end to a flight that had begun so routinely. The crash of Flight 123 sent shockwaves through Japan and around the world. Families gathered anxiously at Haneda Airport, desperate for any information. Rescue teams struggled to reach the crash site due to difficult terrain. The 747 was reduced to smouldering wreckage. Miraculously, 4 passengers survived the crash. The crash claimed 520 lives, marking it as the deadliest single aircraft accident in history. The crash of Flight 123 sent shockwaves through the aviation industry. How could a modern jetliner, operated by one of the world's leading airlines, suffer such a catastrophic failure? The investigation, led by Japan's Aircraft Accident Investigation Commission, was thorough and exhaustive. Investigators scoured the wreckage, analyzed the flight data recorder and cockpit voice recorder, and interviewed witnesses and Japan Airlines personnel. Their goal to determine the cause of the crash and prevent similar tragedies from happening again. The investigation revealed a series of factors that contributed to the disaster. The primary cause was traced back to a faulty repair performed on the aircraft 7 years earlier. A Boeing repair team, tasked with fixing damage caused by a tail strike incident, had improperly installed a critical bulkhead splice plate. This seemingly minor error weakened the bulkhead structure, making it susceptible to fatigue cracks. Over time, these cracks grew, culminating in the catastrophic rupture during Flight 123. The investigation also highlighted shortcomings in Japan Airlines' maintenance practices and safety culture. The airline, under pressure to maintain its high-frequency flight schedule, had rushed the repair work, failing to properly supervise the Boeing team. Furthermore, the Aircraft Accident Investigation Commission criticized Japan Airlines' hierarchical structure, which discouraged mechanics from raising safety concerns to superiors. The Flight 123 tragedy exposed systemic issues within the airline that contributed to the disaster. The tragic loss of Flight 123 had a profound impact on aviation safety, prompting significant changes within Japan Airlines and the industry as a whole. The airline, deeply affected by the disaster, implemented sweeping reforms to its maintenance procedures, safety protocols, and corporate culture. The hierarchical structure, identified as a barrier to open communication, was revised, empowering employees to raise safety concerns without fear of reprisal. The Flight 123 disaster also led to improvements in aircraft design and maintenance practices worldwide. Boeing, accepting responsibility for the faulty repair, redesigned the bulkhead structure of the 747 and other aircraft to prevent similar failures. The tragedy highlighted the importance of thorough maintenance procedures, proper training for repair technicians, and effective communication between airlines, manufacturers, and regulatory bodies. The legacy of Flight 123 serves as a constant reminder of the importance of vigilance, accountability, and a relentless pursuit of safety in aviation. The lessons learned from this tragedy continue to shape the industry, driving improvements in aircraft design, maintenance practices, and safety culture. The memory of those lost on that fateful day serves as a powerful motivator for airlines, manufacturers and regulators to strive for the highest standards of safety in all aspects of air travel. The story of Flight 123, though tragic, is ultimately one of resilience, reform, and a collective commitment to making air travel safer for everyone.